Hello, dear ones, and welcome to Seasonal Sight. Taurus season begins on April 20th, and the energy really starts to shift here. After the fast, intense, go feeling of Aries season, Taurus season comes in and asks us to slow down, to come back into ourselves, and get grounded again. But this is not really about resting or getting comfortable. This season is about freeing ourselves from the inside out. A lot of what has been keeping us stuck is not actually outside of us. What has been keeping us looping are the ways we've been thinking, the stories we've been repeating, the emotions we've been holding on to, and the ways we've been disconnected from ourselves. There are things that we need to release from our minds, our hearts, and our bodies so we can feel free again. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so Venus will be the planet guiding this whole season. And Venus is just not about love and relationships in the romantic sense. Venus is also about what we value, what we attract, what we make important, what feels good, what feels nourishing, and how deeply we are able to receive. In Taurus, Venus is very connected to the physical body, but also to self-worth, to pleasure, to simplicity, to what is real. So a big part of this season will be asking us to come back to ourselves and really notice what are we feeding with our energy. What are we choosing? What are we valuing now? And this Taurus season is interesting because even though Taurus usually wants steadiness, there's also some big shifts happening early on. Right at the beginning, we have Venus meeting Uranus in Taurus, and then both of them will move into Gemini. So there's this feeling that something around love, values, desires, relationships, money, or even just our sense of self will be waking up, will be changing, or needing more space. Something may need to break open. And this feels like a season where we're realizing that real stability comes from being honest about what is no longer serving us. There's also a lot happening with Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Chiron in Aries at the start of this season and throughout the middle of this season, actually. And this energetic dynamics, they will make us become very aware of our mental patterns, our reactions, our wounds, and the ways we speak to ourselves. Thoughts may feel intense, some conversations may hit a nerve, old pain can come up, but honestly, that is exactly the point. Because if this season is about freeing our consciousness, then we first have to see clearly where we've been hard on ourselves, where we've been stuck, where we've been defending the pain instead of just choosing something better or truer. And then we get the full moon in Scorpio on May 1st, and that brings in the emotional depth. Scorpio always asks us to be real. It brings up what's underneath the surface, the fears, the attachments, the old bonds, the karmic bonds, the hidden desires, all of that. So, around this full moon, there will be something we need to fully feel in order to let it go. Something we've been carrying that is ready to move. And Taurus and Scorpio together are really about this tension between holding on and releasing. So this could be a really big emotional turning point for a lot of people. As we move further in, the energy starts to settle. Mercury will enter Taurus, which can help us think more clearly, more intentionally. And then the Sun and Mercury meet in Taurus, which feels like a moment of clarity, like something clicks. And then we get the new moon in Taurus on May 16th, which is really important. This new moon is a chance to begin again from a more grounded place, to make new choices that actually reflect self-love and self-respect. This new moon is inviting us to build life from the inside out. It's a moment to get clear on the kind of energy we want to live in, the patterns and experiences we are no longer available for, and the intentions that are truly worth planting now. And by the end of the season, we get more Gemini energy, right? coming in with Mercury, Venus, and Uranus moving there. And that brings movement inside new ideas. Because once we've done the inner work of Taurus season, which is slowing down, listening, feeling, clearing, then the guidance starts to come through much more clearly through conversations or realizations, signs, synchronicities, or just a different way of seeing things. So, overall, Taurus season 2026 is a season of coming back to ourselves, of clearing the emotional and mental noise, of reconnecting with our intuition, of learning that peace is not passive. Peace is a choice. Love is a choice. Self trust is a choice. And if we realize we've been choosing from fear, pressure, or survival, or even from pain, this season reminds us that we can choose again. So, Taurus season is teaching us that freedom starts within. Physical domain is really about our foundation during Taurus season, our body, our energy, our rhythm, our sense of safety, our relationship to rest, to work, money, and the things that help us feel stable in our lives. There are blessings trying to reach us. Support, love, relief is trying to reach us, but we have to let it in. We need to allow our body to receive what it actually needs. If you've been holding tension, fear, overworking, overthinking, or carrying this feeling that you always have to be on all the time, this is a season to notice how that lives in your body. Because fear blocks the flow of support. Fear makes our nervous system tense, and fear can make us feel like we have to do it all alone. And what if we didn't? What if our healing in this area of life might your imbalance be in your body or in your finances? What if our healing begins with surrender? What if our body needs rest as much as discipline? What if regulation comes not only from structure, but also from trusting the universe? There is a real invitation here to stop resisting the good that is trying to come in, to let ourselves receive rest without feeling guilty or lazy, to let ourselves receive care, to let joy, peace, and support enter our system instead of bouncing off because we are still in protection mode. Our body needs safety, needs gentleness, it needs space to relax, it needs practices, choices, and boundaries that help us feel held. Things like slowing our pace, creating more consistent routines, getting serious about resting, protecting our energy, also tending to money or work in a calmer way, listening to what our body has been trying to tell us, noticing where fear is sitting in our system. We just need to surrender. We need to open and receive. Let this be a season where you stop treating your body like something that has to keep up with the pressure and start treating it like something sacred that it's constantly communicating to you. And if fear has been running the show, bring prayer into it, bring intention into it. Ask for clarity around what safety really means for you now. Ask to feel supported. Ask to become aware of the blessings that are already trying to find you, because you are being helped. And the more you release fear, the more easily your body can come back into balance. In the emotional domain, Taurus season asks us to get honest about what we are feeling, what we are craving, what we are attached to. This season will bring up longing, attachment, maybe even guilt around desire or discomfort around needing too much, wanting too much, feeling too much. And try not to judge any of that, okay? Step back and just witness it. Sometimes we think emotional freedoms means saying or releasing everything, the moment we feel it. But real emotional freedom is about staying present with what we feel without letting it take over. But we need moderation between shutting down emotionally and feeling overwhelmed, between chasing a feeling and resisting a feeling. And here, meditation becomes the tool because it really helps us create a little space between us and what we're experiencing. This season is for us to honor our emotions, to understand our desires, but not to attach to them. We don't need to fear our inner world. Taurus season will slow things down for us to really notice our emotional patterns, what we reach for when we feel empty, what we avoid when intimacy gets real, where pleasure feels easy and where pleasure brings guilt, where we're attached to an outcome, a person, a fantasy, a wound, or even a version of ourselves that we may be outgrowing. So we need to be still so we can listen. This is a season to make space for solitude, silence, and quiet reflection, to sit with yourself at any moment and just let your emotional body settle. Because when the mind gets quieter, our deeper knowing gets louder. And it's also really important to detach, not becoming cold or numb, but healthy detachment, like feeling without being consumed by the emotions, noticing your attachment, but without letting it control you. This is emotional maturity, and that's a big part of what this season will be teaching us. So if you feel emotionally heightened during this season, meet your feelings from a calmer place, like breathe, listen. Let silence show you what's truly yours and what's just noise, fear, habit, or projection. Take time before reacting emotionally. Notice where your desire turns into attachment. Allow yourself pleasure without feeling guilt. Sit with longing instead of just rush to fill it with something, right? Make space for solitude and reflection. Use meditation or breath work to regulate your emotional intensity and be honest about what you feel without getting into drama. The personal domain is where Taurus season will ask us to look at our confidence, our stress, our relationship with achievement, and the way we hold ourselves when we are being called to grow. This season is about understanding and recognizing that real growth is already happening, even if we cannot see it yet. One of the biggest challenges can be tying our worth to performance, thinking that if we're not producing enough, achieving enough, moving fast enough, or getting clear enough results, then somehow we're behind. And this is not the truth. We have to slow down with that because things are unfolding. Trust that you are becoming someone new, that you are being asked to grow into a bigger version of yourself, a more creative version, a version of you that is less available for old fears, old stories, and old identities that kept you small. And with Taurus season, that growth is not meant to be frantic, it's meant to be grounded. So, can we grow without constantly pressuring ourselves? Can we believe in what's emerging before we have all the proof? Can we let go of the past version of ourselves? Because that's a big part of our evolution, relinquishing the past, our old roles, our old definitions of success, old insecurities, old ways of compensating, all of that. If we've been called into a new chapter, we cannot keep dragging an expired self concept into it. We do not have to muscle our way through every transition. We do not have to earn every good thing through exhaustion. We do not have to live in a state of pressure to be worthy of becoming who we are. And grace is here. Grace is support, it's help, it's that invisible opening that appears when we are ready to stop forcing and start aligning. And sometimes Grace shows up the most when we realize that we've been building part of our life from fear, distortion. So notice where you've built your confidence around external validation. See where you've been operating from fear or failure, from fear of success, or fear of being fully seen. And do not shame yourself for that. Just leave behind the environment, the mindset, the pattern that clouds your sense of self and move towards something clearer, calmer, a renewed way of being, a more honest relationship with your own power. This Taurus season is about growing into our next level without making pressure our God. We are becoming more of who we really are, and we don't have to force that process. This is a season to let go of outdated versions of ourselves, to trust what is unfolding and meet our growth with courage, gratitude, and a little more self compassion. Taurus season is asking for something more real than performative love or superficial harmony. It's asking us to bring wisdom into our heart, to stop abandoning what we know deep down, to trust the part of ourselves that can already feel when something is aligned and when it isn't. Our soul already knows. We don't need more external advice, more overthinking. We already know what feels true. We already know where a relationship is asking for more integrity, where our giving has become imbalanced, where our boundaries have gotten blurry, or where our behavior is no longer fully matching our values. And Taurus season wants to slow things down so we can actually hear that. This is a season to act with honor in our relationships, to be more sincere, more stable, clearer, less performative, less people pleasing, less driven by guilt or fear of discomfort. Because our hearts will be going through a process of real alchemy this season. They will take old hurt, resentment, fear, grief, or disappointment from the shadow and slowly turn it into something more conscious, more loving, more mature. And honestly, this season can bring up some uncomfortable truths. Transmutation is about taking what is heavy and letting it become wiser, letting our wounds become awareness, letting our disappointments teach us discernment, letting our heartbreak deepen our integrity instead of closing our heart completely. And love is the treasure here, not just romantic love, real love, soul level love, a love that is honest, that has standards, that includes self respect. We must listen to our own wisdom. We know when to forgive and when to create distance. We can transform pain into truth instead of repeating pain as a pattern. But we have to observe where our actions and values are out of sync, to be more honest in our relationships, to let go of guilt around having boundaries, right? To let go of old resentments without forcing forgiveness, allowing grief to move through us, trusting our inner wisdom about who and what feels aligned, learning to receive with the same openness we give and to choose love that feels respectful and grounded. This is a season to love more consciously, to honor our boundaries, and to let the heart become clearer, softer, and stronger at the same time. This season is bringing change into our social world, but also asking for a lot of honesty around what is real and what is not. Our relationships are shifting because we are shifting. The way we connect, the kind of conversations we want to have, the people we feel resonance with, and the environments we feel understood may all be changing right now. And that is something quite natural. Sometimes when we change internally, our communication changes too. We stop explaining ourselves the same way. We stop saying yes when we mean no. We stop forcing connection where there isn't much real alignment anymore. And because of that, some friendships, they may deepen, some may soften, some may drift apart, and some new ones may be entering our life. And it's time to let that happen. Not everything is meant to stay exactly the same. This season is all about changing conversations, shifting group dynamics, a stronger need for honesty, or a growing desire to speak from a more authentic place. Because, yes, there may be something magical opening up here, a wish being answered, a new connection forming, a beautiful invitation appearing, a sense that life is trying to show us something. But at the same time, we must use our discernment, right? Let's not confuse magic with fantasy, hope with projection, connection with assumption, or politeness with truth. The shadow side here is distortion, saying what keeps the peace instead of what it's real, filling in the gaps with fantasy, reading into things, staying silent to avoid discomfort, or speaking from a place of self delusion instead of clarity. We must find truth, clearer truth. This is a season where illusions get uncovered in our conversations and relationships. Maybe we realize a friendship has changed. Maybe we see more clearly when we've been idealizing someone. Maybe we notice where we've been hoping for understanding instead of directly expressing what we need. Maybe we finally say something we've been holding back. And that's not a negative thing. All of this brings clarity. It's very clarifying, right? Because our words need to match our evolution. Our communication needs to reflect who we are now, not who we were when we were more afraid of being misunderstood, abandoned, or even inconvenient. This is also a really strong domain for boundaries, clean, loving truth when we are not afraid to say what we feel, what we need, what we can offer, and what no longer feels aligned. This kind of communication, truthful communication, changes everything. And it may also open the door to new friendships, new conversations, new connections that are actually more aligned, that actually mirror who we are becoming, especially if we've been growing creatively, spiritually, or emotionally in a ways that our old social dynamics cannot fully hold anymore. This Taurus season, the expressive domain is about speaking from alignment, letting our words reflect our growth, letting friendships shift naturally, and staying grounded enough to tell the difference between true connection and illusion. Taurus season is saying for us to be careful what we keep feeding with our mind, because our mind is not neutral this season. It's shaping things, it's influencing what grows in our life. And that means this is a powerful time to become more conscious of what we are dwelling in mentally, fear or trust. If we've been carrying anger, frustration, bitterness, or harshness in our minds, that is clouding our vision more than we realize. Not because those feelings are wrong, but because when the mind locks onto them, it becomes harder to see the bigger picture. It becomes harder to hear our intuition and to respond from a place of wisdom. Because our power it's in becoming more conscious. This is a season where we are genuinely planting something new in our life, a new direction, a new identity, a new chapter, a new way of living. There's fertile emptiness, and instead of panicking in that emptiness, we have to honor it. We mustn't rush to fill it with fear, with worst case scenarios, with old habits just because the unknown feels uncomfortable. We have to fill it with intention, to be more deliberate about what we are focusing on, more honest about what we are creating, more aware that what we give our mental energy to is going to echo out into our experience. Our desires can be out of balance. So maybe part of us is craving freedom, joy, ease, but another part of us needs responsibility, stability, and commitment. And the middle path is discernment, discerning if it's our intuition speaking or if it's our fear. It's knowing that joy matters, but also does groundedness. It's knowing that we can create a life we love, but we have to be honest about where we're building it from. If we're stressed, if we're unwell, disconnected, or feeling like our life doesn't even feel like our own right now, we have to come back to what is natural and true for us, to be ourselves again, to reconnect with people and environments that actually affirm who we are, not the version of ourselves that adapts by shrinking or pretending. So, mentally, this Taurus season is asking us for a much more compassionate, intentional, and self aware relationship with our own perception. So, practice mercy in the mind. Let go of mental negativity and become more intentional about what you're creating. The clearer and more compassionate our perspective becomes, the more aligned our reality can be. This Taurus season, we must trust the universe and come back into alignment. Spirit is not only found through intensity, through seriousness or struggle. Sometimes spirit comes through lightness, through play, through beauty, laughter, through feeling a little more alive again. We must remember that we are not meant to carry life as a burden every second, that our soul also needs delight. Our spirit needs room to breathe. It needs moments that feel simple, sweet, alive, real. Taurus season is very good at this when we let it help us reconnect with what nourishes us, what brings us back to the present moment. Something may have gone out of equilibrium. Maybe we've doing too much, caring too much, thinking too much, giving too much. Maybe our energy has been scattered or depleted. Maybe spiritually we've been open but not grounded. Or maybe we've been so busy surviving that we haven't had space to hear ourselves at all. It's time to come back to the center through stillness, through rest, through meditation, through slowing down and feeling what our energy actually needs. Taurus season asks for spiritual grounding because guidance is available, inspiration is available, insight is available, but we may need more silence to receive it, more openness, more trust in the subtle things, the instincts, the nudges, the small knowings that keep returning. We are not disconnected from wisdom. We are not cut off from inspiration. There is intelligence moving through our lives, and part of our work this season is to become available to it. What comes through us, our words, our work, our art, our presence, can become a channel for something sacred when we are aligned. Our life is not separate from the divine. It is one of the ways that the divine expresses itself. Love is the answer and the anchor. Love is healing. Love is a blessing, is union. Love is a way of responding to life. Love is a reset for the nervous system, the spirit, the body, the relationships, the mind, everything. And this season, you can expect a meaningful connection, a celebration, a union, or simply a return to a more loving state within yourself. But I also think the message is very practical here. Responding with love changes our energy. It strengthens our center. It helps everything else come back into harmony. And again, we have to hold our desires and wants in check because that keeps things grounded, right? Yes, we can open to joy, open to love, open to inspiration, but we have to beware to not become spiritually ungrounded by chasing every desire or attaching to every outcome. So stay open, but stay human. Stay spiritual, but grounded. Stay connected, but also be honest about what you need. Rebalance. Listen for guidance, but don't bypass your own reality. That's what integration looks like. Make more space for silence, prayer, meditation, or spiritual rest. Reconnect with joy as something sacred, not frivolous. Notice when your energy is out of balance and slow down to hear your intuition. Let inspiration come naturally instead of forcing things, and respond with more love in your choices and interactions, grounding spiritual insight into your daily life. Right? Be open to celebration, to healing, partnership, or deeper heart connections, and stay mindful of desire so it does not pull you off center. This is a season to stay open, grounded, and to let love become the center that brings everything else back into alignment. Taurus season is a season of coming back into balance from the inside out. And across all of these layers, the message of this season is very clear. Slow down so you can hear what is true for you. Slow down to feel what needs care. Stop forcing what no longer fits in your life. Receive the guidance, the healing, the love, and the clarity that is already trying to reach you. This is a season of returning to the body, to the heart, to your own values, to your inner wisdom, returning to a more loving relationship with yourself. And I think that's what makes this season so powerful. It may look quiet on the outside, but a lot is being rebalanced on the inside. So we do not need to force our way into alignment. We just need to listen, to respond, to be willing to choose again where fear has been shaping our lives. This Taurus season is teaching us that balance is not something we achieve once and then we keep forever. It's a relationship, it's a practice, it's a daily return, a willingness to notice when something is off and gently come back to center. Because that is the work of temperance. It is learning how to hold all of who you are with more awareness, honesty, and more love. And as we come to the end of this seasonal site, take a moment to pause before moving on. If this reading brought you clarity, let it ground into your heart. If it brought you discomfort, just stay with it gently. There is wisdom in what is being revealed, even if it's not fully clear yet. And remember, temperance is not about perfection, it's about balance. It's about choosing what brings you back to center and releasing what keeps your spirit in tension. May this season bring you back to your body, your truth, and your inner wisdom, and trust the quiet guidance leading you forward. And so it is. And thank you for sharing this space with me. And I'll see you in the next seasonal site. Much love.